Bore da and croeso I chi gyd, and welcome everybody to the Wales on Rails industry briefing. My name is Stuart Williams, and I'm my paid job is I'm the general manager of the Talyllyn Railway in Talyllyn, but I also have a few other hats like the vice chairmanship of the Great Lot Trains of Wales and the chair of the Cambrian Rail Partnership. Just a couple of housekeeping notes first off. We are recording this so we can play it back and laugh at ourselves for our bad Welsh and our gaffes, so bear with us. Most of your cameras and microphones are turned off currently, so we're going to ask that if people can ask questions during the thing through the chat function. We'll bring you up at the end, or put your hand up at the end, and we'll do Q&A then. So, Wales on Rails, project brief. This was a brainchild of Jo Quinney, who you'll hear about later, through the Great Lot Trains of Wales, to promote tourism via sustainable way. It's promoting transport through Wales on public transport. We're producing info for visitors, such as itineraries, so they can see what great attractions are along the routes. And we've commissioned a report on joint ticketing. It was my silly idea to call it the cockle card, which got dropped very quickly, but the idea is how we can perhaps work together and promote tourism and travel. And obviously there is a marketing and PR to support this. So as I say, it's led by Great Lot Trains of Wales, which is a well-known body of fantastic, I would say that, narrow gauge railways throughout Wales. Well known, we've been around for 50 years. There's 13 of us, and between us, we probably put about £60 million into the local economies. We employ 240 staff and are supported by 1,500 volunteers. So the Welsh Government had a TPIF scheme, which we managed to secure some funding, and we've led this project from the start. It was quite apparent early on that this also matched a lot of the community rail partnerships and their remit to promote tourism, and you'll hear from Mel later about what community rail is if you don't know. And we brought in 7 of the CRPs who contributed to making the project bigger than it might have been on our own. So we've worked collaboratively over that. And this has been going on for 2 years now, and something sort of got in the way of the progress. I won't dwell on that, but yeah, something put a hiccup in the road. So today starts really the start of our journey to launch the scheme and the project. We're building to a launch day on the 10th of March, so we just thought it was a good time to put an industry briefing together to tell you about what's going on. It will be launched by a ministerial event in Cardiff on the 10th of March, and also supported by what I'm calling a wacky race from Holyhead to Cardiff on the Gerald, hopefully, which is the Pan Wales train, and we'll be telling you more about that and how you can support and interact with that. So today we'll be having Jo Quinney, who's this is her brainchild, so blame her for everything that you don't like, and thank me for everything you do like, because obviously I like that sort of thing, who will be running through the website. Mel Lawton is the community rail manager for the north of Wales, and she'll be talking about community rail and explaining a little bit about that. We'll be then moving on to the launch itself and how you can support that, and that'll be Jo and probably myself, and then we'll have Q&As afterwards. So I think the timing is just bang on right for this now. We've held it back because obviously COVID meant we couldn't really start promoting tourism, but I think let's cross all our fingers that we've got a good win behind us, and we can look forward to pushing the button on proactive, sustainable tourism throughout Wales. And just it fits well with the well-being of future generations pillars that Welsh governments are keen to promote. So it's got a lot of backing. I have to thank Jo, Mel, all the community rail officers, all the GLTW members for supporting this, and hopefully this will be a good event. So without further ado, I'm going to hand over to Jo and shut up myself.
Hi, welcome everyone. Thank you for coming today. I'm going to share my screen because giving you a little bit of a walk through the video and explain some of our thinking and where we're at really. So let's see if I can do this. So here we go. So this is the website, and we have our our little nugget, our gem that sits within the website is our cards, and it's like a top trump idea. So for every station, we have the option of adding 8 cards, which show loads of different things that you can do from that station. When I say station, it's also bus stops as well. So on the home page, we've got a little curated set of cards that you can flip through. And on your mobile, you can do exactly the same. So if you want to open up the mobile on your mobile and see the cards, you can flick through them on your mobile. So that's the little sort of gem that sits within his website, is all these cards. I daren't count the number of cards. They're in English and they're in Welsh. Rebecca and I have been discussing how many there might be, but South West Wales has 400. So that's kind of what we're dealing with. We've got lots of cards and the capability to add loads more. So the important thing is that you've got an idea of where you can get to by public transport, how you can come to Wales, and how everything joins in. And the project really stemmed from another project that Great Little Trains worked on, which was called Big Train, Little Train, how you can get from Shrewsbury and how you can get to the Talyllyn Railway. So that was kind of our starting point. But we wanted to update and amend and do something a bit different that maybe told a bigger story. And the bigger story included the community rail officers, and the community rail officers had a couple of brands. They wanted to do something scenic, so they wanted to tell everyone in the UK and the wider world what great scenery we had here and that you could see it by train. And we wanted to tell stories sharing the culture and heritage of Wales. So mapping was important, and that really was our starting point. The cards kind of came later, but it means you can see quite quickly where somewhere might be. You can highlight a railway and click straight through to that railway. You can see where the lines go and where they might join up. You can also do sort of a search function. So if you look at the national rail routes and you collect the one that runs by me, I'm Anglesey based. If you don't know me and you click on the North Wales coast, you can get through then immediately from that front map to learn a little bit more and explore the route. Our mapping also includes where everything else is, and including some strange things. So if you see, you've got the 88 and the 85 bus, because we require that bus to get us from the main line to Llanberis and Snowdon Mountain Railway. So we tried to include the rail lines that the community rail officers have, all our great little trains, buses that are we call them the rail replacement buses. So they're the big bus routes that get you around Wales, and some of the smaller buses that get this stuff joined up. Everything is not on here by a long chalk. It's not an everything website. It's to help the Great Little Trains and the community rail office tell their story about Wales. So you can pop in where you want. If you're starting at Llandudno and you're traveling to Rosniger, for example, you can then select the attractions that you might want to see. So this was a way of organizing cards and organizing our storytelling. You can click on all of the cards that you might want to see, and you can then show those route cards. You can also download those route cards, and then you can store them as a PDF on your phone or digitally. We're trying to encourage people to work digitally and not print, because it's for the sustainability. So here we go with what you can see from different stations, where the cards are, but also you get a nice little deck of cards that you can flick through that tell you what's going on. Some of the images, we're playing catch up on the images, but mostly we've got images sorted. So we're selling nice picturesque scenes on the cards, but also storytelling. And one of the ideas with the stories was, if you go and collect all the stories, when we had researchers working on this project, the aim was my brief was, if you download the story cards while you're traveling on the North Wales coastline, and you had all the stories, would you be able to read those stories to a 10-year-old and find interesting things and stories to tell? So stories suitable to read to your 10-year-old, that was the brief. And then all the cards are there. We have accessibility information that's linked to the stations, but it also, those accessibility cards might be great places to visit that have been made accessible to all, or have different accessibility requirements, so that we can highlight some of those great things that you can get to on the railway line. Now, our other requirement, which was the brief to the designers who were researching, was what can you walk to within 3 miles from a station, or what can you catch the bus to very quickly? So that was the other requirement. So we've got some things that are a little bit further away. If I click all the way through to Bangor, you get nearest to where I live is Treborth Botanic Gardens, and we're saying on that card that it's a 2-minute bus ride, or you can walk. It's a commitment of a walk, but it's doable for a day's activity. So we collect the attraction, are all collected together as well. So if you want to know a little bit more about food, we've got some storytelling there in cards for where you can get great food. How we've chosen to do the cards, as well as the researchers, community rail officers, and the Great Little Trains folk, have all given their best guesses and their expert advice on where's great to go and where's great to visit. So they're curated by the community rail officers and the Great Little Trains people. So we've got the cards in sections like that, but we've also got some explanation of the rail routes, with the Great Little Trains here and the rail routes, and then the buses are all there as well, with the buses that we've got in the system at the moment. We've got itineraries, which give you ideas of where you can go and travel, and we've tried to make these more like a magazine to read. I know that Visit Wales have done that with their website. They like the idea of a magazine, so you've got the storytelling here with lovely images taken by Sarah Parry, and some images that have come in from Lleckweth. These have come in from Michael and his team, and what you can do on different days and where you can go. But also it collects all the cards related to this trip at the top, so you can have a little flick through of where you might go, what you might see. And the aim is really to inspire people to travel to Wales using public transport. Is there anything you think I need to add, guys, that you think this is the team, Mel and Stuart, on this? Do you think that's enough of a run through?
No, I think we'll get some comments afterwards. If you want to stop sharing, we'll hand over to Mel now.
I hope I have stopped sharing.
It's easy for you to say, yeah. Okay, right, thanks for that. Mel, if you want to take over and take up the community rail spotlight.
Good morning, everybody. Bore da. My name is Melanie Lawton, and I am the Community Rail Manager with Transport for Wales. I'm just sharing my screen now. Can you see it? Yep, okay. The Community Rail team in Transport for Wales has been working with our colleagues in Great Little Trains for the past 2 years. It's been an absolute passion of mine, really, because as some of you may be aware, mainly in the Conway area where I am based, my background is in tourism marketing and digital marketing. I was previously the community rail officer with the Conway Valley Rail Partnership. So I've been embedded in tourism conversations for a long, long time. So as I've moved over to Transport for Wales, I wanted to share with you what the role of a community rail partnership is, because you may not be familiar with it. You can see some coloured lines on our map here. Each of those coloured lines indicates a community rail partnership. That is a number of organisations that cover a specific region. So if I'll just point here in yellow, we've got the Conway Valley Rail Partnership and North West Wales Coast. We have the line from Llandudno to Blaen y Ffestiniog, and from Llandud, coming along this North Wales coast, Llandudno Junction to Holyhead. So Jo has touched on a couple of attractions along this line. The role of the partnerships really is to represent their communities. We work with them, and I support the community rail chairs and the members and the community rail officers to help better connect our communities to their railways. And our communities include businesses and tourism partners. You can see from this line that we have some of the most scenic railways in the UK. I personally travel along that North Wales coastline a lot of the time. And if you follow me on Twitter, you will know I frequently post about the beautiful seaside scenery that I pass through. We have the Llandudno, for example, is frequently referred to as the Queen of Welsh resorts. And as you travel on that line, you come into the gateway of the Snowdonia National Park at Betws-y-Coed, and then you come into part of the UNESCO World Heritage Site at Blaenau Ffestiniog. So this is just a flavour of the line in the network that Transport for Wales covers. So it's really important for us with community rail partnerships. We develop a collaborative network of partners in our communities with our tourism partners to promote social, cultural, economic and environmental benefits that the train service can provide. So we'll do this through, we call it purposeful engagement, constructive conversations, but that is talking to our industry partners. And it's a great opportunity for our community rail officers to really promote sustainable and accessible travel and showcase some of the stations along the lines. So a community rail partnership is representative of the region that they cover, and our community officers on this occasion, I would refer to them as almost your expert travel companion. They've been able to bring together a selection of itineraries, selection of attractions on their doorstep because they live there, they work there, they're in conversation with businesses, and these are some of the best offers that we have. So you can see we've got a huge selection along the network there. We've got the Heart of Wales line from Shrewsbury here. That is one of the most recognised walking routes in the world, I would say, with their walking trail. We've got Southwest Wales down here, where water sports features heavily in outdoor. We've got world-class attractions on our doorstep in Wales and the borders. And for us as community rail teams to bring this project together, I absolutely look forward to promoting this at some of our feeder stations, such as Birmingham New Street, such as Manchester Piccadilly. This will be one brand that the Wales on Rails community rail officers will be promoting as we go forward post-COVID to bring people in to Wales. I absolutely look forward to how this is going to progress. But I would say if you've got any questions on what the website looks like, this has been a long time passion for us. 2 years in the making. We've sat in meetings on a monthly basis. I've been chairing them, bringing everybody together, bringing the content together. We're still working on it. It's live. And if you have some suggestions, please put them in the comments and we will read through them and absolutely digest some of the feedback. That's all from me. If you've got any questions separately, we can pick them up at the end. If you want me to share my PowerPoint, that will also be available. Thank you for your time.
Okay, thanks, Mel. That's a great summation of what community rail does for everybody, and it's a moving feast. We've got new community rail partnerships being produced throughout Wales, and it's a commitment that TfW have put in place to really push community rail on all their routes. Tourism is a growing part of rail travel, with commuting disappearing, so it's more important than ever before. So this is a great sort of leg up with this. Okay, so now we're going to talk about, I don't know if Jo's doing it or I'm doing it or we're jointly doing it, about how you can support this project, how you can support the launch in what is only 3 weeks' time. and perhaps going on to how we move forward with this, because it's not a static job. This is not a job and finish and put it in the box. This is very much a moving feast of a project, and this is part of our engagement with the external world to make it a world-class offering. So, Jo, do you want to talk about
so it's
the 10th of March next?
Yeah, so to introduce the 10th of March, we are having a ministerial launch in Cardiff. So the idea is that the train starts in Holyhead, as always, and with folk on it. When we've got Tim Dunn, who's a really journalist and a really big train buff, and works with lots of has really great links with train media and an amazing following. He's going to be on the train with Mel at the crack of dawn, catching the Gerald. I didn't realise that that's what industry people call the train, from Holyhead down to Cardiff in the morning, and then meet up with the team that will be down there for a minister to do a speech, and for us to have a little bit of a chat about what the project means to us and what it's like to use the system for tourism and travel. What we're hoping to do on the day and in the run-up is to have our community rail officers and our great little trains people travelling on the system and sending us little videos about their travels. The other thing we'd like, and then we're going to be posting them all down social media. So it'd be a really busy social media day with hashtags to follow and lots of stuff happening around social. And most people have come because they've seen stuff on social, so we're really ramping up the Wales on Rails social media for in readiness for this event. And that's why working with Tim will be great, because he can share as well stuff that will be happening on the day. I've come up with this bright idea that what everyone can do really practically to help, as well as sharing, is to maybe make a small video. And I made a small video as an example on a not rainy day. I think I'm lying, actually, on a really rainy day. Here we are by the Antelope Inn, and there's the bus, and it's about to go across the bridge, and this is where you get off for Treborth, and there's Anglesey. Here we are in beautiful Treborth Botanic Gardens, where, as well as the gardens, they've got amazing trees and beautiful woodland walks. The idea there is that if everyone does a tiny little bit of video that shows where their nearest bus stop or station is and a little bit about their attraction, we can then make a little film like that and share it with everyone on the day. So it's, in a way, it's like, show your bus stops, show your stations, show how you can get to your attraction via public transport. Often when we're busy marketing our own businesses, we do think about travel, we think about parking, but let's really think about public transport. Anything to add, Stuart?
No, it's just I think it's worth mentioning that the minister that's lined up to do this is Vaughan Gething. It's going to be at Cardiff Central Station probably around 10:30, 11 o'clock, I think. We're still working on the exact details because ministerial things do change. We'll probably send out a pack after this, Jo. We'll put together some snippets and some guidance of what you can do, because we're still working on this. The ministerial bit's been only confirmed quite recently, so those plans are progressing well. But Tim Dunn, I call him our Duracell bunny, really. He's just full of energy. If you've seen his programs on is it All For You, I think it is, about secrets of the underground and things like that. He's just he will tire us out completely, and I look forward to seeing Mel when she arrives in Cardiff after starting at 5:30 and having 4.5 hours with Tim. That will be quite something. I think the hashtag we're going to use, and that will tie it all together, is hashtag Wales on Rails, but we'll make sure we circulate the details of our thinking before that. But also, if you're not on a card and you want to be on a card and you're within access of a public transport route, then get in touch. It's something we can progress. As I said, don't feel it's a done and dusted deal. This is a work in progress. It's going to expand. And Rebecca, who is also on the call, who is the Heart of Wales line person, you can say hello now because she's is also going to be monitoring the chat, will be helping the project go forward, and it will be engaged with Jo on an ongoing basis, so it can flourish more. So I think we've sort of given you a flavour of what it is. We'll post, I think the link to the website is up and live, so please do have a look around it, and feed in, give us ideas. I've seen some mention of cycle routes and walks routes, and perhaps Mel, do you want to just talk about that sort of thing from a TFW point of view, because you've got plans for that in place as well, haven't you?
We do have plans to help promote active travel as part of the sustainable conversations we are having and integrated transport. My team and Community Rail very much promote walking for wellbeing through our Community Rail partnerships, and they're doing some excellent work with some walks on their existing websites. So that content we are going to bring into the Wales on Rails website and promote health and well-being.
Cool. Okay, I think it's over to any questions, any chat. Rebecca, what have you got?
We've got a couple. So just starting off with one with regards to the service and how reliable the service and issues with the service at the moment, and what our role is in that respect then.
Okay, well, we have to promote what we hope will be in place. I mean, Mel can talk about the service at the moment, which is it's hard work after COVID, bringing it all back again. I know TFW put in a lot of commitments with new rolling stock and things like that, but we're very much promoting tourism and not the actual train services. You can't divert the two, but we don't. CRPs are not the train people. We are community-based tourism people and promote use of the railways, but not the railways themselves. Anything you want to add to that, Mel?
I think it's fair to say that all rail operators have had some challenges during the last 2 years as we work in emergency measures. It's not perfect. We absolutely recognise that, and we're working consistently with internal colleagues to ensure that we try and deliver the best service that we can, whilst bringing in the new timetable, new stock, and just to help promote our sustainable work and support staycations. So we know it's not perfect. We know there are challenges. We are working to address it.
Cool.
Thanks, Mel. Nigel asked if the stories are going to be available audibly for those people who might have sight impairment.
Yeah, we had a good look at that, and we had a good think about that. What we haven't taken it further, but what we were hoping is, because the stories could be downloaded as PDFs, if you have a PDF reader enabled, then it would work. And I think that we've had a good look at, and Mel and I did a little body of work about looking at blogging and doing Audible Journeys via apps. We've looked at it. It's quite costly at the moment. The cost is kind of changing as we progress, and it might be something that we add on. We've looked at Audible Journeys, so rather than having stories to read, you may travel along the route and even location pointers ping, and then you get the Audible journey, which is something we want to do. It's on our wish list, but it's not funded at the moment. I think that we have hopefully a way of creating story PDFs that we can upload as news stories, which explains then how, if you have a PDF reader, this is one way you can travel on the route with your PDF reader reading out stuff to you. But we have looked at that, and we'd like to do more.
It's certainly one for the shopping list going forward, isn't it? Websites are not cheap when you get people to do it for you, but we have budget to take ideas forward, and yeah, certainly one for the melting pot. So thanks for that.
And it's and I've just seen Stephen's just asked a question about the T10. At the minute, we've looked at it. We've sort of had the T10 didn't exist when we first put the funding together and the pack together, and I'm really aware that the T10's there now. We'd love to get it on, and I think we're working for the phase 2. We're going to look at do some consultation and then look at what additional routes we're going to get on. It sounds easy, and I did have a conversation with someone recently that said, can you not just draw a line there and show this is a great route to connect? And it's like, it's just a bit more complicated than that because of all the integrated mapping. When you change one map, you change loads of other maps. So we are looking at it, thinking about it. We could do a little news story about the T10 and the service that provides. That's one way round we have of accommodating stuff like that.
Just to give you an example, adding any route is a four-figure sum, so it's something we think long and hard before doing, and we like to make most of our budgets when we do it. Rebecca, what's next?
Nigel, are we going to do a live filming of the launch on social media? I guess I can answer that. We will be. There'll be a lot of social media content going out, and there will be live on the day as well.
We're doing it opposite the BBC in Cardiff, which means they've got no excuse for not coming. And Tim is a live stream aficionado, and we've got resource on the train with fingers crossed on 4G, and Mel providing coal for the 4G router. Yes, there's going to be lots of traction on that day. We hope we don't get a storm Eunice. Beck?
Another one from Nigel, which is quite an interesting one about would be good to see cycle loan or hire at railway stations. I believe there are some in the south as well, so that's something that we could add as cards and develop the website, I think. Yeah.
Certainly, yeah.
And also,
yeah, even though my camera's gone blank, just to add, someone else was asking about, sorry about the camera, I think it might be internet issues. We've added a lot of walking routes on, and we can do absolutely the same with cycle routes. We were a little bit hesitant about it because we discussed it at length, but during COVID, getting bikes on trains was a bit more of an issue. Hopefully when that opens up, we'll just start to add loads of cards about the cycle routes. So that's kind of important. We haven't added them to the mapping at the moment. It's a bit more like we want to add them to as station cards for attainable outdoors. That's the whole point of those cards. So the thing that a couple of people asked in the chat is about whether they can, about projects they're working on. So the pilgrimage routes, we know they're in the north and they're in the south, and there's a lot of work going on there. There's also been work with North Wales, the Wildlife Trusts on a Dune project, and our Dark Skies projects as well. So we want to get cards for all those projects that may that we can share what's going on in Wales, and encourage tourism that you might want to join a walking route. If you look at the Heart of Wales line, it's a really good example of how we've got as much as we can about their walking routes into the website. We can add cards anytime, so if you want your project involved, email us and we'll get onto it. With the launch, it may take us a while. We're not promising instant, but we will promise we will get it done.
I will put the email address in the bottom of the chat.
Anything else, Rebecca?
No, I think we've covered it. If there's any other questions, just pop them in the chat now. Otherwise, I'll pop in the email to contact us.
Good. I think we'll try and email all the participants with a follow-up email, if that's okay with everyone.
Sure. I just seen a comment about booking tickets.
Oh,
well, that's
yeah.
a whole different ball game. At the moment, we will make sure we point things towards TFW, which has got capacity checker and all that great stuff. I don't see this website being a book your tickets live, whether this be an API in the future or something else, but we'll leave that to TFW, but make sure we do clearly have ways forward for and links to booking easily with TFW and other partners. Other rail providers are available, remember.
And the other bit of work that we did was on, I'm just putting the link in here, on the report for the tourist pass for Wales that we did, which mentions joint ticketing, and it's done quite a little bit of a lot of analysis. Bob Horton wrote the report for us. He was amazing, and it's got a lot of info about how ticketing works in other places, the Spirit of Scotland pass, and he's gone and spoken to loads of partners, all who are invited to this meeting. So have a look at the report, and it talks about all the regular things that we discuss, discounts, tourism, joint ventures, all those kinds of things, and it's in this report, and we hope that more can be done on ticketing in the future. Anything to add on ticketing, Mel?
I think that's the next phase of our conversation with internal colleagues. Yes.
Thank you.
Very, very corporate. Well done, Mel. Non-committal. Absolutely great. I just see there's something about dark skies, which is, yeah, a beauty of living in this part of Wales is you do get to see the skies. And things like that would be great for the news feed that we hope to set up, or the blog. Do feed in. You will be feeding into Rebecca and Jo, so that email address is a good one to use. And we will keep you abreast of everything that's going on. And as you've registered for this today, we'll make sure we keep you informed of progress towards the event in 3 weeks' time. So I think that's enough from me today. Thank you very much, everybody, for attending. Thanks for our presenters. I think we've given a good flavour of what we're showing and the potential that it brings to Wales, Pan Wales. Stay safe, keep well tomorrow in Storm Eunice, because it's going to be a bit hairy. I hope that this is a good leg up for the tourism industry and recovering post-pandemic going forward. So thanks everybody for coming, and you can now log off.
Thank you.
Bye.